Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Animanicast.
I think it's time we got down to business, yeah?
Now, our first quarter figures are really low, as there's a business graph will hopefully show.
What are you doing?
We're getting down to business.
We are a podcast dedicated to the animated television series, the Animaniacs, and we are going to revisit each and every episode of the series, discussing cultural references, gags, jokes. We're going to share our memories of first watching the episode, and we'll also give you an episode rating of what we think about it right now. I am Joey, and joining me are my co-hosts, Nathan.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm Joey's younger brother. I sound a bit like Joey.
And Kelly.
Hello, I'm the cute one.
That's right. We had to get one cute one here, otherwise we'd be in trouble. So I guess we should start the show off with telling us about a little bit about yourself. So Kelly, why don't you go first? Ladies first. What would you like to tell us about yourself?
Okay, well, besides the fact that I do love Animaniacs, I'm a writer for Big Shiny Robot, and a big Star Wars fan. I love Yoda. I love all things Spielbergian, and I actually wrote about Animaniacs in my diary right after the show first aired, and I said it was a funny Spielbergian show, and I loved it. And I don't know, I like pop culture.
Very cool. And Nathan, how about yourself?
Well, I grew up with the Animaniacs. I guess I was 6 when the first episode came out. Something
93. Yeah, you were 6.
6 years.
Oh my god!
I know.
I feel old.
I was so young, but so I grew up loving Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, all those kind of fun shows. I don't know. I'm also a big Star Wars fan, and
well, Nathan, by the way, we should also state that Nathan has one of the rare. Not many people can say this. You've actually had the voices of the Animaniacs actually sing Happy Birthday to you when you were a little kid.
This is true.
And I forget how old you were. We'll have to look it up later. But
somewhere older than 6.
Yes.
And
younger than 10-ish.
10, yeah. So I was probably like 8 or 9.
There we go. So Nathan actually got the original voices to sing to them. And we'll talk more about that at a later point. But my name is Joey, and among the Animaniacs, which I've always been a fan of, and especially Pinky and the Brain, I am a huge Star Wars fan as well. And we realized that I really kind of had this idea for the Animaniacs podcast, or the Animanicast, a little while ago, and just through serendipity, it just happened to be premiering on Netflix. So what a great time to be an Animaniacs fan. And I think people are really coming out, really out of the woodwork of saying, wow, this show is fantastic. And now I'm also a school teacher myself. And here at my middle school, I'm getting kids quite often talking about the Animaniacs when they see my Pinky and the Brain statue up on my shelf. So it's interesting to hear how kids today react to the show as well. So that, among other things, is some of the things we're going to be talking about. The Animaniacs, I don't know if you guys knew this or not.
What's that?
The show ran from 1993 to 1998. And do you know how many episodes there were, Nathan?
I would say more than 20.
You're right. Kelly, do you know?
I'm gonna guess around 200.
No, actually 99.
99.
99 episodes.
Right in between both our guesses.
Although if you include Wakko's Wish into that, you get a grand total of 100. So there you go. I'm not surprised that you thought 200, Kelly, because being on from 1993 to 1998, there were a few years where they showed quite a bit of reruns, and you would think, and I think they kind of sliced up some of them to make new episodes, but we'll be going through all of that. So today in our first episode, of course, we're going to be reviewing episode 1 from season 1,
A New Hope.
I was gonna say that. Wait, no.
Episode 1 was The Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
Jeez, what is wrong with everybody?
I'm a
But
Star
that's
Wars
what went
fan.
through my head was episode 1, A New Hope.
Episode 1, A New Hope. No, episode 1 from season 1, which originally aired September 13th, 1993.
Which, I just want to put an FYI in there, was the day after the premiere of Sequest DSV, which was also a Spielberg show. That was a really exciting week for Kelly.
Well, there you go. It was
Yes.
so Kelly, why don't you start us off? You back then in 1993, you were excited for Sequest.
Yes.
Animaniacs was also premiering.
Mm-hmm.
The first question I have for you guys is, where were you? What do you
At
remember
home.
from that time? You were at home.
I remember all the commercials leading up to the premiere of Animaniacs. They kept showing Yakko's World over and over again, and I was like, what is this thing? I have to watch it. It's an earworm now. I have to know this song.
Yes.
And so I got home from school and watched it when it first aired from the beginning.
Yeah, I remember those commercials as well. And being a Tiny Toons Adventure fan, I was thinking about this before we got on the air. They didn't tell kids back then that shows were ending. It's kind of like they just stopped. You kind of got the hint that maybe the show wasn't going to be coming back anymore after they would kind of just start showing reruns, and then new shows would premiere, and then your favorite shows would just keep rerunning. So when the Tiny Toons just kind of stopped being new, I was like, oh, what's going on? Like, when are they going to show new episodes? And then, they started showing Yakko's World, Yakko singing that during like commercial breaks for Fox. And once you know it, that's the premiere. I remember really running home on the day of the premiere to get there just in time for it to turn on. And I turned on the TV and just got to see the newsreel of the stars starting up. So I was there from day one, and I really liked what I saw. Now, Nathan, you were 6 years old.
I was 6 years old, so I remember it like it was yesterday. No, I mostly just remember watching the first episode over and over again on VHS.
We did watch it. That's what I was noticing too. Rewatching this episode last night, I'm like, boy, we watched this episode a lot on VHS. Like, this must have been on a regular rotation, first episode.
Well, because it was probably at the beginning of the tape.
Right.
And then we'd watch all the rest of them, but if we didn't have time for the rest, we'd at least watch that first one.
Yes. Yeah.
I taped every episode, and the ones that were my favorite, I'd keep.
Yes.
And then I'd kind of edit them onto another cassette, and had like this tape full of all my favorite segments.
Now, you see, kids, back then we didn't have all that fangled stuff. We had to hook up 2 VCRs to each other.
No Netflix.
Yeah.
But that's also what, by the way, that's what I'm also excited about doing this podcast, is seeing episodes that, quite frankly, I'm sure I've missed some episodes along the way. And I'm excited to see some of them that I've never seen or have totally forgotten because maybe we didn't tape them on VHS that one day.
Yeah, or we forgot to hit record again after the commercial.
Exactly, and you missed a whole segment.
We'd try to cut out
that's right. You try to get rid of the commercials, which ironically right now, if you ever pull out those old VHS tapes, I always want to watch the commercials.
Yeah.
I was like,
you can't get on Netflix.
I love the ones for Star Wars toys. Some of those Micro Machine ones were great.
Yeah, that's true. Right around this time, we're getting Power of the Force and Micro Machine sets commercials. Right.
There was this one where the kid was like, "I will freeze you in carbonite forever, Han Solo," and that was so cool.
This is the impression of Jabba the Hutt.
So I'm going to go ahead and give our synopsis here of the different parts, and then I'll turn it over to you guys for any thoughts, reflections, stuff like that. So when we first start on the Animaniacs episode here, it gives us a prologue. And in that prologue, it gives us an intro to the Animaniacs. This intro is also shown on many later episodes.
Yeah.
Many times, I think, when they were a little short on time and they had to fill it in, they had a couple minutes right there where they just got to put that in. And in this, it is revealed that the Warner Brothers and their sister Dot, originally created in 1930, quickly escaped off their animation page, and they ran amok throughout the studio, and they had to be locked up in the studio water tower. But not only that, they also locked up their films, which also made no sense, into the water tower to never be released However, despite this security measure, the Warners somehow escape. So, right away in the intro, in that first slide, we see a lot of different stars from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. Nathan, can you tell me any of the stars that you remember seeing?
No. The security guard was not a star.
No, I'm talking about right at the very beginning.
Okay, so like the artists?
Yes.
Then no, definitely not.
Kelly?
Clark Gable.
Clark Gable was, I know you because you were like on with the wind. I
Yeah,
know you'd like to remember
I'm
him.
from the South. I'm Georgian.
Well, I'll tell you guys. So
Okay,
first of all, I'm going clockwise now. Here we go. There's 8 of them. There's at least 8. Here we go. Lon Chaney from The Phantom of the Opera. Harold Lloyd from a short Safety Last. And Harold Lloyd's hanging from a clock right there. Buster Keaton from the short The General, and he's running away from a train. Charlie Chaplin, which for some reason he has white hair. He's eating a shoe, and that's from a scene from The Gold Rush. And Clark Gable, like was mentioned. And then James Cagney and Mae Clark from Public Enemy, 1931. Then, of course, we have Betty Davis from The Little Foxes and Humphrey Bogart from The Maltese Falcon. Now, looking at these references, looking at all these things right here, and then going back into my adult brain now, I'm going, wait a minute, the timeline doesn't make sense right here. They said 1930, and they're showing stars from 1941 and 1931. But if you put that all aside, it's just kind of cool to see all those people. I really liked how the Animaniacs did these references, not only to stars from the 90s, contemporary stars, but actually did go back every now and then and showed stars from the 30s and 40s. To me, I don't know about you two, but I remember when the Looney Tunes was on TNT as a kid, and I would watch Silly Symphonies on the Disney Channel. I would see these stars from the 1930s and 40s and not know who they were. And my dad at the time would say, "Oh, that's Laurel and Hardy right there, and that's so and so, and that's so and so."
Jimmy Durante, and
yeah.
I felt the same way when I used to watch The Muppet Show because I caught it in reruns. I didn't know who half those people were.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I have the Muppet Show on. That'll be our other podcast, the Muppets, the Muppet Show cast. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I know the
someone's
feeling.
gonna steal that. You should.
Oh, okay, let me get that down. But and some other references that are kind of cool in that intro. The animators are animating in a place called Termite Terrace, and Termite Terrace was actually the name of the Warner Brothers animation studio, or at least its nickname at the time. And when you go in there, you'll see the animators. And I actually saw, if you look closely, there's a pig, a picture of a pig being drawn next, or at least sitting next to the Animaniacs. And it looks like Hampton to me from the Tiny Toon Adventures. Oh. So there you go. So did you guys notice anything else about this? Any thoughts about that? This is just some random
It's
trivia.
all in black and white, except for their noses.
That's right, Ethan.
A little trivia there for you.
Yes. And I think Hello Nurse is in the shot with the animators too for some reason. I don't know. Again, timeline-wise, with my brain as an adult, I'm going, what? They're all over the place. And then I say, it's just a cartoon show. It's just a cartoon show. It's okay. Kelly, anything else you want to add about that?
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
I sure did. And now, you know what? We'll never have to cover it again.
Yeah.
Actually, I take it back. In some episodes, there's an extended version of that opening.
Okay.
So we'll revisit it one more time and talk about the extended
So I have
thing.
some time to think.
Exactly. So you start thinking about it. Okay. And then, of course, we get to the Animaniacs theme song, which, to me, as a fan of Tiny Toon Adventures, I right away thought of its similarity to Tiny Toon Adventures and their theme song. What I really like about this theme song is the fact that we see a lot of characters that will not really be introduced to us formally until several episodes into the season. Anyway, it's very, very similar to Tiny Toons, very similar to Freakazoid.
Freakazoid did the same, yeah.
Yeah,
Thinking,
they had their...
Freakazoid had characters that they never introduced in the entire series, I think.
I think so, yeah. We'll get to that later. I don't know.
It always bothered me in that.
But there are a lot, like when Yakko is banging the heads of a bunch of the bad guys, you see Einstein and you see Dr. Scratch and Sniff and a bunch of the other foils of the Animaniacs that they're like hitting on their head. So you are introduced not only to the, I guess you could say the core, but the good guys or they're all good guys. There's no bad guys in this. Well, there's a few, but you get to see the core characters and you get to see those. I don't even want to say the foils because the Animaniacs are really the foils to the.
I think they're all the good guys, and Animaniacs are almost the bad guys.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my god! My whole world is.
Any thoughts about the theme at all? I mean, it's a great theme, obviously.
Yeah, it's very catchy. I do like that they say the title.
You know what show you're watching?
You know, right away.
That's very true.
I always sing along with it when I watch it. I love the theme song. It's so happy.
There's a ton of cool covers of the song actually that you can find on iTunes. If you go and you just search for Animaniacs, just on there, you'll see a bunch of different covers, including one which is kind of like a smooth jazz kind of cover, which sounds kind of cool. And there's an 8-bit cover, which is just sounds like a Nintendo game. And
oh wow!
And so check it out if you want to hear variations of it. It's pretty cool. And of course, each episode had a variation lyric. And this one is,
Here's a show's naming.
See, they do say the name.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So, in case you forgot.
I think that's the one they used the most.
Yeah.
I've never tallied it up or anything, but that seemed to be the one that was generally used.
Okay, we're starting the tally right now. Here's the show name 1. And now, I don't know about you, but I did kind of get annoyed, quite frankly, just even as a kid. I was like, oh, are they going to say something different? And then here's the show's name. I'm like, oh.
I always looked forward to, like, we'd always have to, like, be quiet, like, oh, there you go.
And then, but, because I think we were used to The Simpsons and stuff, how The Simpsons would be usually different.
Yeah, they do a different chalkboard and a different couch.
Right. And then, and for the Animaniacs, usually it was, you would hope for something different at the beginning and then different at the end. Okay, so we have 3 segments in this particular episode, and we're going to go through each segment and then talk about our favorite moments of it, or our favorite quotes, etc. So the first one is honestly, I gotta say, first and foremost, this episode, it has 3 really nice segments. In fact, 2 out of the 3 are some of my favorite segments throughout the entire run of Animaniacs. And the first one here is called De-Zanitized. This is written by Paul Rugg and directed by Rusty Mills and Dave Marshall. And in this particular segment, we have Dr. Scratch and Sniff telling a fellow psychiatrist about how he first attempted to make the Warners sane and how he lost his hair in the process. After his first encounter with the kids, he is ordered by the CEO, Thaddeus Plotz, to keep the zany kids under control. The CEO hasn't been this upset since they made Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. After one unsuccessful try with the siblings together, he first decides to talk with them separately, and then that has no success either. Finally, it is revealed that the psychiatrist he's talking to is the Warner siblings. And he, and he goes to outer space.
Just like, let's end this now.
Yeah, he hits Mars. That's how it ends. He turns into a rocket and crashes into Mars.
Was it something I said?
So there are a few references in here. Humphrey Bogart is at the very beginning. I think he's introduced as Mr. Top Hollywood star guy or something like that. So obviously they the lawyers at Warner Brothers did not want to, have to pay residuals to the what do we call
Bogart.
The Bogart estate. Yes. So he kind of looks like Bruce Willis to me, actually. He doesn't really look like Humphrey Bogart to me. And of course we have Porky Pig, and we have Ronald Reagan saying that he wants to be president one day, having delusions. Yeah, having incurable delusions of grandeur. And then of course we have pictures on the wall. Now I wasn't able to figure out all of these, but these are the ones that I was able to figure out. We have Edward G. Robinson, who's most known to say, I think he says like, you dirty rat. You know that guy? Yeah, Chief Quimby from The Simpsons.
Okay, Chief Quimby was on the wall.
Yeah, Chief Quimby's on the wall. We have Betty Davis, Peter Lorre, Clint Eastwood, Jack Nicholson. We have Cher, who for some reason is blonde because of miscoloring. They put Cher as blonde. And Michael Keaton as Batman, who, if you look at it, Michael Keaton, it looks like he looks like more like a cardboard cutout that Dr. Scratch and Sniff is next to, because they did not color in Michael Keaton's face. So it's, a little blooper, I guess, there. But, so a lot of cool little references right there. What are your thoughts? What do you guys like about this, first segment, De-Zanitized?
I enjoyed it. I think I liked Wakko's De-Zanitization the most. Does that make sense? Okay. The what's on your head? What do you feel? I don't know.
My shirt.
Why don't you just tell me what you're feeling?
My shirt.
No, that's what you are touching. What are you feeling?
My nose.
That's what you're touching. What are you feeling?
Yes. I think I felt like it was always a game to see who could get Scratch and Sniff to pull the most hair, and Wakko gets 2. So I was like, Wakko wins. So I don't know. That was my thoughts on it.
That's a good way of thinking about it. Kelly?
Well, that was my favorite part too, but I also like when and I like when Wakko keeps saying, maybe you should see a pea psychiatrist. He's like, I am a psychiatrist.
Maybe you should see a pea psychiatrist.
I am a a psychiatrist.
But when he's talking to Dot, and she's like, call me Dottie, you die.
Yes.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I think the segment, rewatching it again, I'm like, okay, Wakko wins for funniest segment of being De-Zanitized right there. And yeah, the running gag of the pea psychiatrist.
Yeah, Yakko
thing.
says it too as well later.
And also, like, this isn't a joke, it's a visual gag, or this is a
no monkey stuff.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite lines. Yeah. Which is the monkey stuff.
Define monkey stuff.
Yeah, the monkey stuff. You walks around like a silly monkey. Would you be all goofy like a monkey? That is the monkey stuff.
You hopping around like a little monkey. Which I gotta say, it's so funny, like, trying not to be the adult brain kind of person right here. But I'm a fan of Roger Rabbit, okay? And I think that this show takes a little bit of inspiration from Who Famed Roger Rabbit in some ways, right? We have we have characters being drawn, we have them going around a studio, interacting with humans. Yeah. The humans themselves, though, are very Toonish.
Yeah,
right,
he turns into a monkey.
His face physically changes into a monkey right there. So it's everyone, and then of course he turned into a rocket at the end. So I guess we can't really apply the Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, I can't see
comparison.
Eddie Valiant doing that.
I hope not. So, any other thoughts about this first segment?
Yakko's was funny too when he asked him to associate. He would say a word and ask him to say what came to his mind, but he wasn't ready to start yet. And so everything he was saying, and Yakko just would come up with something really quickly, and he was like, and I can't even remember what the lines were, but it went on for several moments, and I thought that was really funny too, because he was getting so annoyed.
Yeah, it was like a Yakko the thesaurus at that moment.
Yeah. Get out! Get out! Get out!
Leave.
So yeah, that is I've seen that segment many times, and it still makes me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So very good segment. Well, let's move on to the second. We're moving right along. We're moving to the second segment right now, which is one of my favorite songs from the Animaniacs, and this is the Monkey Song. This is adapted by Tom Ruegger, directed by Carrie Hartle and Rich Ahrens. And the setup is pretty simple. It's Dr. Scratch and Sniff, the Warners, and the Hip Hippos are singing the Monkey Song about the Warners. And we have the Good Feathers are in it, and Good Feather Squit tries to play the flute throughout the song, but he keeps getting beat up by Pesto. And various characters from the show are introduced once again to us and just kind of shown as they're running around, or in the case of like the mime getting crushed by an orange tree. Mm-hmm. I think it gave us our first adult innuendo of the series, which was Yakko saying, "For a nickel, I'll give you a clue." And
so that was to the nurse.
Yes, to Hello Nurse. Oh, who we should mention from the first segment was introduced, and that is her name.
Yes,
is Hello Nurse. There you go. So, I didn't know this until last night. Maybe I knew it a while ago, but this was adapted for the show. And this originally, as far as I can tell, was originally sung by Harry Belafonte with the song called Monkey. And it's very similar. In fact, it's almost exactly the same song.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either. In fact, I'll put the link in the show notes for this.
Okay.
For a YouTube clip, or a YouTube version of the song. It's a lot of the same lyrics, like the whole thing of pulling the chain and almost like going on the toilet and almost going down. I felt like that was
a little random. Like if you weren't watching it, like I wouldn't know what was going on. That's the one line that's like,
pull the chain and I went down.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
Well, nothing makes sense in this thing.
Well, in the song itself, it kind of makes sense.
He's in the bathroom.
Yeah, I guess.
I asked them to leave, but they stayed around. They pulled the chain and I went down. I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
So that's what I learned last night. That whole thing was, I thought it was just an original song, but no, it's actually an adaptation of a Harry Belafonte. I know, adapted.
And I was like, oh, there must be another.
Yeah, I had no idea. So, the Monkey Song has always been one of my favorites. I was glad to see, that it was finally released on CD when I would get the CDs of the Animaniacs. It didn't come out until, I believe, their last major CD release, which was Variety Pack. And the Monkey Song was finally on there. I'm guessing that one of the reasons it took so long is maybe there was some sort of, maybe a legal musical reason with Harry Belafonte. I don't know for the Monkey Song, but
it would probably at least cost more.
Yeah,
at the very least, since they would have to pay for.
Yes. Any thoughts on this? What do you guys like about the Monkey Song?
My favorite parts, of course, Scratch and Sniff's in the stew. Oh, poo. I would rewind that. I remember as a kid just to hear him say that line again and again.
Now I'm in the stew. Oh, poo.
And again.
The part I remember us rewinding a lot of this song quite a bit, and the part I remember us sampling a lot was "They put buggies in my underpants," and I just I know it was very there. There's a lot of funny lines for kids in this one. There's a lot of like you're getting flushed down the toilet. There's bugs in your pants. You say "oh poo" at the end. There's a lot of good stuff. Kelly, what do you think?
Well, one part that's always stood out to me is when Hello Nurse sings her line, because it's so, I don't know, it just sounds awful.
I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do. For a nickel, I'll give you a clue.
Yeah.
Because it's like I don't know if she's trying to just sound really flat and monotone, or, what what that whole line is about, but it just seems kind of out of place with the rest of the song.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's just always bugged me.
Yeah, well, hats off to Tress MacNeille, who voices both Dot and Hello Nurse, as well as, I want to say her name. The hippo is Claudia, I want to say.
That sounds right.
I don't know. Hippos are not my favorite. But anyway, but hats off to Tress MacNeille for being able to sing so well as Dot, which you gotta think, that's really hard to do. To sing in such a high-pitched voice and actually make it sound good. And to have that vocal range of singing as the nurse, but sing flat, and then sing as the hippo, and sing... I remember meeting Tress MacNeille when we first met them in person, and finding out that she was the voice of Dot, and she was the voice of Babs Bunny and Gadget from Rescue Rangers. But then when they said, and she also does the voice of Hello Nurse, and I'm like, what? And she also does the voice of the hippo, and I'm like, excuse me? And so Tress MacNeille's vocal range is really being shown in this in particular song, which is cool. Okay. Are we ready for the third segment, ladies and gentlemen? And we'll
think so.
And then we'll wrap up this episode, the first and probably
last.
No. I was going to say, we're going to look back at this. Yeah. We're going to look back at it and go, oh my gosh, we should re-record this episode. But no, we're moving forward. We're going to be good.
You're stuck with this.
You're stuck with this first episode. Okay, and our third segment right here is called Nighty-Night, Toon. This is written by Nicholas Hollander and directed by Rusty Mills. And this is a parody of the storybook Good Night Moon, which I don't remember ever being read as a kid at all.
Me neither.
Yeah, I think it must have been like just before. I remember it being popular at the time. And
I worked in a bookstore and we sold it a lot, but I never read it.
Yeah, yeah. I must have been. I'm going to assume that Nicholas Hollander probably just read this book to his kids at the time, and because for me, I don't even think I picked up the reference to the book even at the time.
I read the book later in life, and I was like, "Oh, this is like that Animaniacs episode."
Oh, this book is that book stole from the Animaniacs.
What the heck? It's not even funny.
What the heck? So this is a parody of Goodnight Moon, and Jim Cummings, who is currently the voice of Winnie the Pooh, and he does a very Winnie the Pooh-ish voice in this. He says goodnight to all the characters, and at the very end, Yakko says goodnight to Wakko's underwear. There are a few cool little hidden things in the Warner's tower. If you look around, you'll see the Three Bear family from Looney Tunes. Remember that, where you have the short dad and the
big baby?
The big baby. Yeah, they're up on the wall. And I believe, just looking at this, I can tell you what I don't like about this segment is the animation style. Especially with the first two segments. They have a very, I want to say, more of an angular kind of look to the Animaniacs' mouths. When you open, it's hard to describe, but when they open their mouth almost goes to kind of a triangle kind of shape. And in this, the animation is very different. It feels different, and I believe it's because these were actually freelance animators from New Zealand for this part. So a little portion right there. I'm probably wrong at some point, but the exact origin of the animation. But it's obvious that whatever animation studio did the first two segments did not do this third segment, because I don't know. What do you guys think? I personally, I don't know if you even noticed.
I didn't notice the animation.
I didn't either.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So. It's going to continue to drive me insane throughout this run, because certain episodes for me, I know that this show is not Disney animation, okay, and it's for a daily after school show, and they had to get animation.
Got to get the episodes out, and
yes, But when the characters just look different, they just look different, and they move their mouths different, and they just move their bodies a little bit differently. Not necessarily worse or better or anything like that, but just different. And, just look back at the episode again when you get a chance, and I promise you're going to see like a difference in the way they move, the fluidity of their movements. In some ways, they are a little more fluid in their movements, but at the same time, I don't think the quality of the character models are there. And also, when you look out the window of the water tower, the stars look very flat, and I don't know, just not as nice if it was done. But I want to say that the other segments were animated in China. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to look at that later. But you could definitely see the difference. Check it out later, and you'll see what I mean. I hope. Maybe.
All right. See.
So what do you guys think? Any thoughts right here on Nighty-Night Toon?
Well, it's my least favorite of the show, I would say. Just like the book, it's repetitive. It introduces all the characters, and then we say goodbye to all these characters in that order. I did like the Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah.
Nighty-night, big-headed laboratory rat.
I am not a rat. I'm a mouse. Oh, drat.
Oh, that rhymes too, Brain.
Oh, drat. That rhymes too, Brain. I think is the joke I enjoyed from it. But overall, I just remember fast-forwarding through it as a kid, I think. Mm-hmm. But that's me. Kelly?
It's not my favorite of the episode either, but I thought it worked pretty well as sort of an ending for the first introductory episode. You do kind of get to see some of the characters and, just a sense of maybe what the show's going to hold. And you got to see the inside of their water tower, which of course is never the same from one episode to another, but you can kind of get a sense of how zany and, not really true to size it is when you see the interior of it. And, cause at the beginning of that segment, they've got like a water ride and they're riding around in it. And it's just, it's kind of like Wakko's bag where, you could fit a million things in it. And, it's always changing.
So if Wakko's bag is like Felix the Cat's bag, then the water tower is like Doctor Who's TARDIS.
Exactly.
Okay. So we got that going on. Yeah, I do notice that it is definitely different each time they go into it, and that is cute and that is cool. It's definitely an obscure place. I mean, even the windows are kind of curved, and everything is has this kind of out of worldish kind of feel to that area. And yeah, like you guys said, it is our first intro to some of our characters. Yeah. So we got like Mindy and Buttons, we got Rita and Runt, and of course Pinky and the Brain. And as you can notice, when you see Rita and Runt, there's going to be many parts in this series where Rita is going to be there, but she's not going to talk because Bernadette Peters, I'm sure, cost a lot more money than some of the other folks and was much harder to probably get into the studio because Bernadette Peters, at least as far as I can tell, probably only just did Rita.
Just that one voice, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming anyway. We'll find out. Okay, well, overall, I think it was a very, very good premiere episode. Got to show us introduction to our characters that we'd be seeing throughout this series. So let's go ahead and go right to the ratings. Out of 5 water towers, how many water towers would you give this particular episode? Who would like to go first?
I'll do it.
Okay.
I think I'll give it 3. It was about average. It was a good introductory episode, but there were so many more that I liked a lot more, and that I number among my favorites. So overall, I think it was pretty good. But as I was saying before the show, I think the second episode was much better in it. It really showed just how great the series could be.
Okay. Very good. Nathan, what do you think?
I also agree. 3 water towers for me. I figure Even before I saw the episode, I was like, well, I should give it 3, and that way it's like my base one where I can always go up or down. It'll be right in the middle.
Right.
But yeah, it's like a good episode. I do really enjoy the first 2 segments, but then that third segment, I just get bored. But it is a great way to learn all the characters, get quick introductions to everyone, learn little things like Dr. Scratch and Sniff's eyes are blue. You wouldn't have known
Oh,
that
that's right.
if
Yeah.
you don't watch this episode.
Yeah. You never know because he never takes off his glasses.
Exactly. That's mine.
So 3 water towers for me. Well, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be a little different because I'm going to give this one 3.5 water towers.
What?
And your reason why is because, number one, I just love the monkey song. This one has a lot of nostalgic, importance to me. We watched it a lot as a kid, and I think it really holds up really well. And honestly, I liked the third segment more than I did when I was a kid. When I was a kid, like Nathan said, it would probably be one of those segments that you'd be like, okay, we're done with this episode. And, it's a little too slow. And obviously we didn't get the reference to the book in the first place. So, that wouldn't be important to us. So, but I'm going to give it 3.5 just because of, replay value. I really like this episode and it has one of my favorite, songs from the entire series. So there we go. Now, speaking of favorites, we had a poll on our Twitter account.
Oh boy.
And we had several responses.
Yeah.
Several responses with a very important question, which we may have to just revisit later on. But I put out a question there out to the Twitter ether, and it was, who is your favorite Animaniacs sibling? And before sharing the results, I'm going to ask you guys, Kelly, Nathan, who's your favorite Animaniacs sibling? Is it Yakko, Wakko, or Dot? And why?
Whoa.
That's really hard because I like different ones in different episodes.
There you go.
So I don't
If you
know.
had to pick, this is Sophie's choice of Animaniacs.
Oh, that's awful. That's terrible.
Who will you take?
I probably Yakko.
Yakko. Why?
Yeah, just because I love Yakko's World. That's my thing. I love that song, and Rob Paulson was the first Animaniacs voice actor I met, and he was so nice and so funny, and I don't know, he's the eldest, and sometimes he's the voice of reason. Sometimes.
As much as possible. He's definitely, I guess you could say, the leader of the 3, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has a lot of the really great lines, and so I guess I'll pick Yakko.
Okay, so for today, or at least today, Kelly's picking Yakko. Nathan, what do you say?
Yeah, as a kid, I would have said Wakko, I think, for sure. But now I'm older, I would have to say Yakko as well. I think it's based probably on all the songs. He has all the best songs, I think, or Yakko's songs in general. But, yeah, I would say Yakko. He's the leader. He can get things done.
He can get things done. Well, I'm going to actually say Yakko as well. And I'm right with you, Nathan. I think as a kid, I would probably pick Wakko each time. But, I don't know. I think Yakko is probably the wittiest of the 3 Animaniacs. And, he's not, which isn't to say that means he's the funniest of the 3 Animaniacs. But to me, he's definitely the top of the 3 for me most of the time. And Kelly, I'm with you. One of the reasons is because when I happened to meet Rob Paulson when I was, in high school at the time, he was just a really genuinely nice person to me. And, that really had an effect on me, and just thinking, wow, he's such a cool guy. I really like him a lot. And, that solidified my Yakko's appeal for me. Well, it turns out that, 3 for Yakko, and it turns out that, according to our Twitter poll, looks like the majority agreed with us. 56% said Yakko, 31% said Wakko, and 13% said Dot.
Oh, we won.
We won. So we're going to go for a new poll for this next, as soon as this episode is posted, we'll have another poll for the week. And the next poll is going to be, what is your favorite Animaniacs song from the following? Now, we've kind of picked social studies themed songs.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't put every song from the Animaniacs on. So it's an election year, right? So we figured we'd pick stuff that has to do with social studies, United States in general. So, of course, we have Yakko's World. We have the United States Capitol. What is it? The 50 U.S. states and their capitals by Wakko.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the Presidents of the United States, all the way up to Bill Clinton. Or they also say, technically it's Hillary.
Hillary, yeah.
Yeah, it's which ironically actually could happen.
It
and
might
you could just
actually.
out of it. Wow. Who
Would have been more impressive if they were like, and maybe Donald Trump.
No.
Like, whoa, what is, how did they?
Anyway. So that'll be our thing. So what is your favorite song from Animaniacs? Is it Yakko's World, U.S. Capitals, or Presidents of the United States? And we will have this social studies themed song poll up on our Twitter account, which is at Animanicast. That's where you can find us on Twitter. On Facebook, if you'd like to get in contact with us there, go to facebook.com/Animanicast. And our email, if for some reason you wanted to send us an email, go ahead and send that to animanicast@gmail.com. Now, Kelly, Nathan, where can people get in contact with you if they just want to say hi?
On Twitter, I'm Yoda Princess, which is YODAPRNCSS. And for email, they can email me at Kelly, KELLY, @BigShinyRobot.com.
Fantastic. And Nathan, what is your Twitter account that you check all the time?
All the time. I'm always on it. 24/7. Django FT. That's me. Django Fett. Because I'm a huge Django Fett fan.
Not really.
Well, I am. So
now you are.
Yep. And I forever will be. It's all because my Gmail is also Django FT. So
there we go.
You can Django FT all across the board.
See, I learned something about my brother today, ladies and gentlemen, and that is that for some reason he picked Django Fett as his thing, even though I've never heard him once talk about Django Fett in conversations about Star Wars at all.
I didn't want to add numbers to things, so...
Okay, well, that's what he had available. Okay, then. So, anyway, for Kelly, Ed, Nathan, this is Joey, and this is the Animanicast. Join us next time for episode 2, in which, among other things, we're going to introduce the premiere of Yakko's World. For Kelly and Nathan, this is Joey saying, goodbye, nurse. I don't know what else to say. That sounds good enough for me. Let's all say it at the same time. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Goodbye, nurse. There we go. Good night, everybody.
Cue the theme song.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
Good night, everybody.